Alright everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this one, it's actually the first time I'm filming from the new apartment that I just moved into. So also, if my audio is a little bit weird, I know the echo was weird in my old room, but yeah, hopefully this is better, but if not, let me know and I can fix things up for you. But either way, let's get back on track to remember what we were doing with the shop feature. So I believe where we left off is on this functionality right here, where the seller can come in and they can add a product and they could go ahead and just, fill out all the fields, hit submit. And actually, let's see kind of where we were at. Let me just pick the TNB logo. I'll say TNB, price 12, quantity 1 to 3, activate, submit. Okay. So where we were at is, let me just verify that this is working on the back end too. Okay. So user submits the form, and now it looks like we are logging this out and also actually, hitting the back end too. And then after that, I can actually pull up this logic. This is TNBOS. Okay. So after that, I can probably just do this too. We are going to be navigated to this page. Alright, so toolbar, create an edit product. Alright. So upon submission of that product creation form, we are logging out the values, and that's what we saw right here. And then after that, we are just formatting all of our form data. We have to do some special stuff with form data because we can't just send JSON up because it does include image data as well. And then once we get that, pretty much just syncing up our store and navigating to shop, sell products, and that's the page that we're going to be working on today. So basically, we're going to be building out this product list page, which is eventually going to look like the equivalent of this on TNBOS right here. So with that said, where to begin? Actually, before we even hop into that, I wanted to do this since I know things were kind of getting kind of messy. So I created the stock shop roadmap for the front end, and I'm just going to kind of outline what all we need to do. So we'll split it up between seller and buyer. So seller and buyer. All right. So for actually, let's just do sell and buy. So from the seller's point of view, what we need to do is build out the products page, and then actually maybe we can split it up this way. Yeah, so I'm just going to split it up into front end because I'm going to kind of write everything out in the order that we are going to actually do them. So first, we're going to be building out the seller's product page. And then after that, what I want to do is I want to actually build out the product catalog page, because that's like the next thing naturally in the flow of things. So buyer product catalog page. And then after this, what we can do is we could build out, this is kind of natural progression as well. So the buyer, let's do the product detail page next. Yeah, let's do that. So, okay. So we already allowed the seller to create products. Now, after that, we're going to allow them to view their products, and then the buyer to view the products, the buyer to click into the detail of one of those pages. And then what we can do, let's do the addresses next. And then we'll have add cart functionality, because by the time I get to this cart page, I want everything kind of ready to go. So I'll say my address. All right, so my addresses then the buyer crate. So then we'll build out this page and then the functionality to add and edit addresses. And then from there, what we can do is have this add cart button. Actually, from there, yeah, add a cart button, and then we'll call this the checkout page. All right. Buyer checkout page. And then, yeah, place order functionality, and that will be part of the checkout page. And then we'll just do buyer orders and seller orders. And that should take us out. So buyer. All right, so this is all we need to do before we have our very own shop app. Kind of pumped. Okay, so in this video, hopefully we can knock out the seller product page, and then, well, maybe if we are feeling very ambitious, the buyer product catalog page too. But really, I don't think this all should take more than a week or so. A week and a half, I'm guessing. In fact, if we can get this all built out in a week and a half, I'll be very, very happy. And it is July 25th now. So let's say by the end of the month, if we can get this shop app taken care of, good to go, published live, then yeah, I'll set a deadline for myself. All right. So on that note, now that I'm under the clock, let's go ahead and get ready to build out the seller product page. So this is what we're going for, and let me just actually inspect this and see what we got going on right here. Okay. So this layout, it looks like I did a grid. And do I want the same thing? So main image, some details. I do like having the status here, and then yeah, these buttons are pretty much exactly what I want as well. So let me see if I can find out where this code is in TNBOS. All right, get rid of you. Okay. So now I'm just kind of figuring out what I can steal from TNBOS. So products. All right. So what I'm doing here is rendering the main heading, and I'm doing that same thing. All right. So on our website, we are rendering the main heading with a button on the right. So rendering the main heading with a button on the right, and then in TNBOS, they're just rendering content. And the content is first going to check if you have any products to display. If so, you're going to render those products. If not, just some empty text that says no products to display. And the empty text is also its own component. So let's actually do the empty state now. Okay. So empty text is just gonna be center aligned text. Okay. So I don't think we have a component for that. So for this is interesting. So components, yeah, let's just make empty. Let's just make a standard empty text component for the entire app. All right, so empty text, paste that into my components, and then let's see what we need to do. So from styles, what font color? Actually, we don't even have font color, do we? Okay. So let's not even worry about the colors for this right now. We can just keep it the default color. Again, mainly going to work on my styling later. Just getting the base components out there. And then for For the component, what we're doing is we're just passing in anything to display, which is usually just going to be a bit of text, and it's just going to display it italicized. Okay. And with that, we'll go with basically the same design pattern we used here, where we first of all, we need to import this empty text component. Empty text from components, empty text, and then in our cell products we can have render content logic, and eventually we're going to be pulling in the cell products from the API, but for now what I can do is I can just make an empty list to test things out. So actually let's just do this off the bat. So what this render content is just going to do is display empty text, and we'll add some smarter logic into that later on. But for right now, just to make sure that our empty state is looking nice, let me go ahead and... Okay, so that looks alright, no products to display. However, I am noticing there's a little bit too much padding, and that is because in this top section I have padding as well as this. Okay, so I don't think, is this coming from the page actually? Where's this padding coming from? Well, let's find out. So on my cell products page I don't have any, so it must be coming from the section heading. Yeah, padding 16, and I don't want that. I don't think I want any padding on my section heading at all, because yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is this. No padding on the section heading, and instead what I want is padding on my page right here. Alright, that works actually. Alright, so now there's padding around my entire content, my entire page, no padding on the section heading, and then my empty state is going to have its own padding. So that means whenever we build out the product section, also want to implement padding there. And I think that looks alright. And yeah, I did see why I changed the color of this. Let me see if... Yeah, I might as well change the color of that now. Alright, so this is a little subtle gray color. I'm just trying to see if there's anywhere else where I use that subtle gray color. Okay. Alright, so this is colors secondary. So color secondary, and that would be empty text. Colors secondary. Alright, there we go. No products to display if you don't have any products. Looking good. So now let's go ahead and, well, first of all, let's see if we have any products in Redux. Okay, so these are products that I created. So after I created them with this form, what happened is we hit the backend to actually create them on the backend as well. And then when the response data came back, as long as it was a successful 200, or whatever the status code is for created 201 or whatever, then we stored those in Redux. So now what I'm first going to do is I am going to build a selector to pretty much just get all the products that are in the Redux store and display them out here. Now another thing that I want to do after that is I'm going to be fetching the products from the API just in case for some reason the products aren't in the store right here. Maybe the user logged out and they log it in for the first time. Then whenever they go to this page, or maybe they just refresh it, then we could hit the back end, pull those products back and yeah. All right, so let's get to work. All right, so the first thing is I'm going to need a selector to get those products out of my state. So right now in my store, I have products in my store, but I don't have any way of pulling them out. So let's just copy one of these, NOP. All right, so I have products in there, and my selector is just going to be called get products. All right, so now using a selector, I can pull those out. And now let me just find the implementation of that. All right. So for LMP, so for selectors, state, I'm doing get products. And by the way, I am gonna have to put a filter on here since eventually you're gonna have a lot of different products in your store, kind of like the backend has a lot of different products in the database. They're gonna be from a bunch of different buyers, and on this page, I only want to display your products, the ones that you're selling. So you're gonna have to add some filtering for that, but we'll get there eventually. Okay, so we're getting the products out, and then we're gonna need useSelector from React Redux. And then we'll just copy this pattern. So element NOP. All right, so now let's just log these out and make sure we're pulling the data correctly. All right, so these are the products that we have in our store. And now what I want to do is actually, let's take a look at TNBOS and figure out what they're doing. So probably filter them. Okay. So yeah, we're basically doing this exact same thing. All right. So the products section is just going to be a grid, and then there are going to be 4 columns in it. So we can, go with that same logic. So if we don't have any products, then it displays an empty state. If we do, then we're going to render them in this grid right here with a 12 pixel gap. And to do that, we are going to be using this as well. So sell products, this is interesting too. So, okay, I'm using a hook here to filter out those sell products, but I'm wondering if I need a hook. Okay, so the reason I'm using a hook is because I'm using it on the page that we're building now, and also anywhere else? No. Yeah, so I don't think I need a hook actually. I think that I can just, yeah, memorize this. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and determine how we filter our sell products. So each product is going to come with a seller, and the seller is going to have an ID property. And what we need to match this is against our ID property of self. And I have a feeling we may want to create a hook for this. Use self ID. Or is that just, no. That's a little bit unnecessary. But either way, let's just go ahead and get that logic. So self. All right, so we're going to be using self. elemental P, self, and then we are also going to say use memo. So I'll say const use memo from React. And then what this is, wait a minute, I'm typing in the wrong app. All right, so we're going to be using memo from React in, I'm wondering if we should even put it in render products. Filtered. Alright, use memo, and then what we're doing is just filtering out this. Alright, so we are going to say that for, first of all the values of products, since they're keyed by ID, we're going to pull off the seller property, and if seller.id is equal to self ID, then we are going to want those ones. So basically the seller's products. And now let me just log this out to make sure we get all the right ones, and it should be all of them right now. And there we go. Okay, so just one more time, the seller's ID needs to match self ID, and then those are the products that we want. And then we can update this render content logic right here to say, okay, so we'll say if products, filtered products length, then return render products. We didn't have that written yet, so we can just say no for now. Otherwise, return empty text. Okay. Okay. And another thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to order these products by, I actually don't know what the best way to order this is. So whenever you're on this screen, maybe last modified, that probably would make sense. It's kind of weird since I only have one now, but eventually this page is going to be full of products that you're selling. How do you want them ordered? Alphabetically, latest modified? Actually, let's just go ahead and build out the logic now, and then intuitively I'm probably gonna, kind of feel what one is working best. So let's do that. Okay, so hopping back in TNBOS, what we need to do now is build out this product section. So let's start with the most atomic element, which is the product itself. So for the product, what we have is a thumbnail, product list details, which is its own component, activation badge, and action links. Interesting. Okay, so let's do this. So we're gonna make a product component and we're gonna pass in a product. So let's just go ahead and get started with that. All right, and then this product component is nested inside the sell products page. So new directory product. Close out of U for now. And then this is going to have a styles file. And then a new component. And this is going to be renamed to product. Okay. And then let me just make sure we're passing in the right type of data. So we are going to be from types, passing in a product, elemental P, QRS. Okay. And then for this, all right. So what this product is going to do is it is going to take a product and it's going to be of type product. All right. So this product component, where is this? All right. So this product component is going to be passed in a product, and that product is of type product, but because our component's named product, I'm just renaming that import as T product. And now we can work with the product in here. Actually, before we even do that, let's do it this way. So this is eventually going to have 4 columns. So I don't even need this. Which means I don't need that class name. However, what are we displaying here? A thumbnail? And here, I made a separate thumbnail component, which is interesting, which is going to come in handy. So components, wait, do I have a thumbnail component in my, nope, not yet. So let's steal that as well. All right. So before we do, let's just go ahead and take a look at what this is. Yeah, it looks like what I'm doing is this thumbnail component basically allows you to pass in any kind of component with optional click handler, and it's just going to display it as a square. So if you have a tall image, like a picture of a building or something, or a wide image, like, I don't know, a picture of the Grand Canyon, even though those aren't very good examples if you're selling products, unless you're selling a building in the Grand Canyon, then they may be very good images. But either way, what it does is it just creates a square image or a square aspect ratio without stretching or, shrinking the image or anything. So anyways, we'll go ahead and test that out later. But for now, we need that thumbnail. So I'm just going to copy it over to my app and then clean it up to formats, to my existing logic. All right, so types. All right, let me make sure I got this. Yep, okay. So this is going to take an optional onClick handler, and that's just going to be a generic function that returns void. And then the thumbnail URL is just going to render the image inside a container. So now what I can do is, since we need this thumbnail in my products component, in the product styles, I'm just going to import that thumbnail. And then we can style it right here. So yeah, with styled components, what you can do is whenever you have a component like this thumbnail right here, so this is just going to be a regular component that has its own default styling. But let's say that you want to override the styling, then what you can do is you can just import it, and instead of making styled component like styled div like you do right here, you can just do styled and then wrap your component right here. So basically like a mini high order component, and then you can just overwrite any styling, and it would be basically the same as applying it right to your component right here. So pretty cool technique. And on that note, let me actually go ahead and use this. So looks like I'm pulling off. All right. So I'm pulling off some properties from product right here, but I actually just want to see where the thumbnail URL is. So, okay, it's on the image property. So product.image equals thumbnail URL. So let's just do this first. We can make our code more readable in a bit, but for now I just want to have something to render out on the screen. Okay, so on click, we won't have any click handler for now. And thumbnail URL is just product.image. Okay. Now hopefully we get something displaying on the screen. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't even render this product yet. So here we're going to be filling out more details, but this is essentially going to be a row for this product right here. However, we didn't even import it into our main component yet. So of course you probably need to do that. Let me just see what I can steal from here. So import product from product, and then we will say render products. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to say if you have filtered products, basically, then you're just going to render the products. And whenever you render the products, take each of your filtered products and then map them to this, where the product is going to be passed in and the key is just going to be product ID. And this has an implicit any type because I wrote that incorrectly. Okay. So if you have products, then go ahead and map them to a product component where the key is the product ID and the product being passed in is product. And then for each of these, and I'm probably going to add my ordering logic right here, but for each of these, render them inside the products container, which is just going to render them as a grid with 4 columns that we only have 1 column for right now. All right, so those are my 4 products, and because we didn't render the rest of those yet, yeah, actually let's just do this. So all that's looking good for now. And now let me just kind of render the framework of this product some more. So this product is gonna have in its second column product list details, which is this right here, and then the badge, and then the elements. So let me say this. I'll just stick everything in a div right now to get my structure. So product list details, and I'll say the activation status. And then after this will be my actions. So now it's gonna look a little bit closer to that. And from here we can just really start building everything out piece by piece. However, one thing I'm noticing already is the padding here. Since this grid, it does have 12 pixels, but I still need, yeah, let me just put a padding top and bottom of 12 pixels on this real quick. And let me do that. All right, so for cell products, the products are gonna have a padding of 12 pixels, 0. So 12 pixels top, bottom, 0 pixels left and right, and that looks a little bit better. Okay, so now instead of product list details, let's first figure out why I made that a component instead of just styling it right straight up. All right, and that is because, oh, okay. So anyways, what I was wondering is why I made this, what I'm highlighting, a component instead of kind of just styling everything right here. And it is because I use that same component right here on the orders page too. and I'm calling it product list details, so let's just stick with the same. All right, so let's go to you, Mr. Product List Details, and this is a container. Interesting. Okay, so this is a container with a name, description, and then price mini. And right now we only have a one price allowed per product, so that works as well. Now let's go ahead and take a look at price mini. Okay. Network image. Okay. So kind of just like reverse engineering this component and see what I have to pass in. Okay. So this is going to need this price mini. In other words, it's going to need this component, which I also separated out into another component. So let's go ahead and create that first. All right. So for the front end, we're going to have price mini. And price mini, I may want to rename this right here, networked image. Yeah, I'm gonna want to rename this core image or something like that. Actually, let's see on the back end. So cores, models, you got a core. So I'll say core logo. Instead of network image, this can be core logo. Yeah. So instead of network image, we got core logo. The alt, just say core logo. And all right, so from types is where we get this. Use network image. Okay, OpenP, QRS. Okay, so now we're going to be using those product details. Okay. So let's first of all just figure out a couple things. Okay. So on the product, each product is going to have a price amount. And then the product.price amount is what we're gonna convert into that amount right there. And then here what we are doing is we are saying to get the image from the product. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. Okay. So the product is going to have ID of a core and price core, and this is going to be basically the ID of one of these cores that has a logo. And that's called price core. Okay. So we can make a hook, use network display image. Yeah, let's rename that hook as well. And what we are basically going to do is we are going to actually use core. Let's say this, use core logo. And we're going to be passing in a core ID. And we're going to be getting back a string of an image. So now we need to create a hook, use core logo, and it's going to work the same as this. Okay. So we can just copy this for now and change a few things. Actually, let me go ahead and make a new hook called use core logo. Let me just clean some of this up first. Okay, new hook, and we're gonna say it is just a TypeScript file, use core logo. It's gonna be similar to this, except instead of use network display image, we're going to call you use core logo. And then for these assets, I don't think I have an asset for the default one, unknown network. So assets, I need, yeah, I only have one thing in there right now. All right, so this would be shop assets, or is it in my main one? Okay, so this question mark can be for when I don't have any core logo. Let's say we had a core but it got deleted or something. It's kind of just the default state. And I'm gonna name this asset, I'm gonna actually name it unknown core. Unknown core.ping, and this is unknown core, and this is going to be core ID. Okay, and get cores from selector state. So selector state get cores. Okay, now we got a little something going on here. Networks, nope, cores. And then this is going to be core. Network is going to be renamed to core. And this is going to be core logo if you got one. And I don't like how that's all bunched up, so maybe I do. Yeah, it's good this way. Okay. Either way, what we're doing is we're saying we now have an asset of this image right here that's called unknown core. Now the goal of this hook is to actually get the core logo. And for this, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be passing in a price core, which I believe is a number. Yeah. So from the product, we're going to be passing in the ID of a core, which is going to be a number. And then from our cores that we have in our Redux store, we're first going to say, I don't think we need this logic either, since it's always going to be a number. Yeah. Okay. So basically what we will do is we'll pass in an ID of a core, and hopefully the majority of the time it can just use that ID to look up the core, and once it finds it, it can pluck off the logo from it and return that. However, if we don't have a core, then this is going to be undefined, so it's just going to return this logo instead, which is the question mark logo. So all of this is in the hook, use core logo. And then in our hook index, use core logo. Actually, use available wallet cores. All right, so use core logo hook, imported it into our main, and then from import that from hooks. Okay, so now our price mini is using this core logo from the product core that we pass in, product's price core, and then with that, it's just going to render the core logo on the left and the price amount on the right, something similar to this. And now let me just check my styling again real quick, kind of just working from the inside out Elemental OPQR. All right, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. So now what we can do is we can build out this product list details component now that we have that price mini working. And for that, let me just figure out where it was. Okay. So this product list details component, I believe, interesting as well. Okay, so let's start patching this together too. And I'll rename this shop product list details. All right, so for component, let's make a new component, new directory, and I'll say shop product list details. And in here, we're going to be using this styles file. And this is going to say okay. So here I created a mixin for a list name and a list item description. And let me go ahead and actually just see PQRS if I actually want those mixins again. Okay. I may actually want to use these mixins again. Mixin list item description, mixin list item name. Because I'm wondering if, yeah, it's kind of tricky because TNBOS was kind of designed where each app that was built, it's like a, I don't know, like a separate app that you would make on your desktop. Like everyone was just had its completely unique style. However, what I'm doing here is I'm actually merging everything into the same, well, not the prettiest UI right now, but I'm merging like all of these apps into the same website, and they're going to have consistent styling now. So in my head, I'm kind of just going through and figuring out what needs to be separate to the shop feature and what can be reused as a generic component. But I'm thinking that I probably want to reuse these. And that way, if any other part of our app needs, yeah, a list item description or a list item name, it can follow the same format. Okay. So let me go ahead and make those mixins here. So I'll say styles, mixins, input style, toolbar style. This is interesting too. So apparently I had different naming convention where here I was prepending all my mixins with the word mixin, but I don't think I want to do that. JK, yeah, that's not. Okay. So for the list item description and the list item name, all right. So for this, it's a default font, so we don't need any special thing for that. And for the list item description, this was color secondary. So now I actually need to go in my styles main file. Just import this too. So list item description, list item name, JKL. All right, code optimize imports. Make sure these are sorted. Okay. So I now have those two mixins, and I'll keep this as a standard across our entire app. And then I'll say list item description, list item name, and this is a list item description, a list item name. Okay, looking good. And what is this? Is clickable mixin. Okay. All right, so this is cool, actually. All right. So product list details, product list details, product list details, where are you at? Alright, now let me just copy this, refactor, rename, product list details. You are being renamed to shop product list details. And we need to clean up these types as well. PQRS, util strings, and I don't have truncate. Interesting. So truncate, where are you? Coming from my strings, util strings. Fascinating. Didn't even have truncate. Okay. So this is my string. I'm gonna PQRST. All right. So this truncate function, all it does is it takes a string and then a max length for it, basically. And then if it exceeds that max length, it just slices it and then add dots to the end. That way, if people write like a long description, you aren't displaying it all here. You only display like 2 lines or so and then add some dots after it. But anyways, let's see what we got going on here now. Okay, so we created a component shop product list details. I'm gonna PQRSTU. Okay. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're passing in a product, and it is just going to render the name of that product with an optional on-click handler. For example, if you want to go to a, if you want it to become a link, basically. And then for the description, we are truncating that at 200 characters max. And then under that, we're rendering that price mini component. And with this, we pass in a product. And that price mini component was styled to have an additional margin top of 10. That looks all good. And then all this is doing is getting the logo by passing in the ID of the product to use core logo, and then rendering the amount on the right side of that. Okay, so shop product list details is what we want here, and we're going to be replacing it with that. So let's go ahead and figure out what we did in TNBOS just to make sure we aren't missing any logic. So product list details, sell products right here. Okay. So we are going to have a click handler for it. And this is going to be the same as handling the edit. Okay. So basically in TNBOS, I had it whenever you click the image, or whenever you click the title right here, it took you to the edit page. Same thing as clicking this. And we'll implement that later on. But for now, we'll just have no click at all. Okay. So in this component, shop product list details. Whoa. What we need is a product, and that is just going to be the product. And then for on click, yeah, we'll just pass in this empty handler for now. And that prop was on click, wasn't it? Yep, on click. Okay. So now hopefully we should be getting this right here. Yeah, look at these descriptions. Okay. So for this birthday cake, which looks like a desk right now. Actually, let's do this. Let's get some realistic product ad in here. Okay. Let's start selling some stuff. All right, and I don't delete that because this is another issue. We got to sync up the backend whenever we delete products from it. But anyways, what picture do I have that I can sell? Do I have that wooden spoon still? No, I don't. So let's sell this desk. So say wooden desk. And the description is big wooden desk. Got to work on my marketing skills. TNB price amount 800. And then the quantity, only I got one. Activate that right away. Sell and okay. So right here, wooden desk. First of all, I was expecting that to appear at the top, but that's another issue we have to fix. But yeah, we have a realistic product data in here. What I'll do is whenever this page loads, I'll make a request to the backend to get all the products and just set those products in the Redux store. And since I'm kind of overriding everything at that point, that's gonna wipe out these 3 products right here that no longer exist in the backend. Since the backend we only have this wooden desk right now. But anyways, little by little, work on that. For now, let's just go ahead and continue working on the UI. Yeah, none of these click handlers work right now. So what I'll do now is just build out this activation status component. In other words, this quick badge right here. So let's go ahead and that's going to be in my product right here. Alright, so what did I do with the TNBOS? So I built this activation badge. And all this does is it takes activation status. Sure. And these are my 2 activation status, active or draft. Shop products, activation status, active draft. Alright, so most of this can just be copied. And then what else am I doing wrapping it in? Okay, so now I'm just wrapping it in a div since apparently I get some strange behavior if I just render it out straight up. Okay, so first things first, what we're gonna need is an activation badge where we pass in an activation status. However, what I'm thinking is instead of activation badge, if we want to name it something else, so maybe shop activation badge. And that is because this logic, it only applies to the shop section. Yeah, why don't we do that? Or maybe product activation badge. Yeah, I like that name. Oh yeah, okay. So this is going to be renamed product activation badge, so refactor rename. Let me just go ahead and create a new component and we'll name it product activation badge. And then the style's pretty much going to be the same. Just need to update for my new convention. So import colors and types. And this is actually from enums now. And activation status active and draft. Okay. So for the active, we have it as green, which is good for now. May need to change it later, but and for this we can use dark gray. All right. So if it's active, it's going to be green. If it's draft, we'll just say dark gray 100, and we'll kind of need to see how these colors look. But this is the logic for now. That looks fine. That looks fine. Now I need the actual component, which is this right here. All right, so for you, Mr. Components, you are... Actually, this is going to come from types. And then the activation status, it's going to come from enums. And I think that's good. So we're going to be passing in activation status. And then that takes care of that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, let's go. Okay. So now, yeah. Oh, I forgot to rename it actually. So this is going to be called Product Activation Badge. And this is, okay. So this is my product activation. Actually, it's activation status, right? Product activation status or activation badge. The component is a badge, but it resembles the activation status. So the component is product activation badge, and yeah, this makes sense. So we have to pass in the activation status so it knows. Kind of tricky naming, but makes sense as well. Okay. So import this component, P, so product activation badge, and then what we want to do is we're eventually going to be passing in something like this. So product activation badge, and what prop does it take? The activation status. And the activation status is just the product's activation status, just like that. And then I got a feeling we're going to have some weird styling, and that, of course, is why I put it in that div. So, just like TNBOS, what we can do, since I like to have my components styled, alright, and what was that? LMNP, QRST, oh wait. Activation. Activation status. Yeah, actually that works. Yeah, let's stick with that. Alright, so I'll wrap this in a div so it doesn't stretch. And there we go. So that looks alright. However, now I just want to tweak the colors a little bit since they're, this green is, I don't know, I'm not really digging it. So for this, let's try green. Let's try 400. Might be a little bit too green, but we'll see. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then for this draft, is this good? Yeah. Maybe darken that a little bit. See how we are looking. Just a tiny bit. Just a little nudge. And let's go back to 100. That was a mistake. It was a huge mistake. Okay. So now let's see how we're looking. Beautiful, 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 and also beautiful. One other thing I may want to do is bump this up, since this one's kind of small right here. But I think that we are good for now. So add, back to products, got the wrong products, but that's fine. An issue for another day. Well, actually today, but another time. For now, just want to get everything out there, and then kind of like putting the foundation into the house, and then we're going to go back and paint everything, make everything look real nice and pretty. Element PQRS, there we go. Okay. So next up, let's just go ahead and finish out the styling of this page by writing our actions right here. And they look like simple links, but for some reason, in TNBOS, I styled them differently. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay. So we have 3 different action links: an edit, delete, and a deactivate. And then when you click deactivate, it's gonna, of course, deactivate it, and then this is gonna change to an activate. So this last one is gonna require a little bit of logic depending on the state of your product. So yeah, let's just go ahead and build out this logic right now. So let's start with render activation action link. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at this action link component. So this is an action link which pretty much standardizes the link. Okay. And I just want to see why I made this a separate component as well. Okay, so we use it, yeah. Okay, so we are actually going to be using this across many different parts of the app as well. So let's go ahead and just, this action link is now officially part of our component library. Okay, so for the action link, it's just a link, but it's going to pull from our styles, and it's going to use this blue color. Let's see, 200, 300. I got a feeling I'm going to need to darken this as well, but for right now, we'll just roll with it. All right, so for this action link, what we are going to do whenever we use it is we're just going to be passing in the children, which is just going to be a string. In other words, the text of the link. And then we're going to be passing in a click handler, not an optional one. They're pretty much just all going to have one. And then when we hover over it, it's going to change color, have a pointer, and an underline. Beautiful. Nice and simple component. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and render these out. So action link, and then what we can do here is we can create this actions div wrapper. Okay, and all we're saying is this is going to be the font size. And do we even need that? Because what I'm thinking is, okay, so these don't have a font size. I'm wondering what my default font size is as well. But either way, we can do that later. All right. So let's just get this edit and delete one so we can see the styling of it. So instead of a div, this is in S actions. And this is pretty much just styling these right here. All right, so first let's see what we got going on. So yep, those are definitely too dark. And also I did want to see, all right, so yeah, my default font size is 14 and I did want these to be smaller. So these are 13. Those are looking good. However, let's darken this up just a bit. White space, no wrap, and all right. So let's actually go 400 and 500. So 400, 500, and how are you looking? Okay, much better. So edit, delete, nothing happens. And then what I'm also gonna do is render out this other action link. So render activation action link. All right. And that is going to go in here. And then on click, you aren't going to do anything either. But basically, we are saying that all right, so for the product's activation status, first of all, let's go ahead and get this from enums. All right. So say if activation status equals draft, then we're going to want to render the text activate because the action would be turning it from draft to active mode. Now, if it's not draft, then it must be active. Then we're going to want to have the text to deactivate it. So hopefully we have that logic right now. Okay. So in this case, the product is active, so you can deactivate it. And when it's draft, you can activate it. And that is looking good. So even though none of this logic is working, since we just have pretty much these no-ops for all the on-click handlers, what we can do next is start working on all of that. But anyways, I think we got the basic layout is looking pretty good. Of course, these products are deleted and those deletions aren't reflected on the front end yet. And we got a lot of logic to build in, but for now, it's looking all right. Yeah, looking good. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go to the bathroom and I had a little bit too much coffee, and then I will be back in a sec. So see you soon. Alrighty, Jack, we are back, and now that we have the basic layout taken care of, let's go ahead and start working on, oh yeah, that's nice. So let's go ahead and start working on the actual functionality for this. So the first thing that I want to do is actually, let's go ahead and just make the logic for fetching these products, since I have a feeling that whenever I log out, log back in again, go to shop, sell products. Okay, so right now this should be displaying the one product that I have on my back end. And also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log in from the perspective of Amy as well, and I'm just gonna create one product from her. So first of all, this logo needs to change. This is just hard coded in my profile picture from GitHub, but eventually we're going to have a profile section to allow anyone to update their own logo. Point is, for now, I just want to have okay, let me just have this bacon for sale. Nice and juicy bacon, could be selling for VTX 300 in a quantity of 10 bacon packages. Amy's Bacon Factory. Okay. So now I just wanted to have two products on the back end, one that Bucky was selling and one that Amy was selling. And I'm gonna go ahead and actually log out and log in as Bucky again. And I just want to have that because whenever we're building out the logic, only one product should be displaying here. Okay, so now to do that, I need to go ahead and write on my product endpoints. So this is gonna be, oh wait, I already have these? That's awesome. Alright, so get products, and that means I have my dispatchers too. And get products. Okay, so, I have create product, but not get products yet. Okay, so first let's figure out where I'm going to be using these from. So whenever I go to this page, I want to make a request to get my products. So let's, of course, see what TMD has. First of all, actually, that logic probably isn't going to apply. All right, so this is going to be an effect. And let me see if I can just steal. Maybe from one of these. Yeah, let's do this. All right. So what we're going to need is a few things. First of all, use effect in dispatch. Use dispatch, okay. Oh, I already have that as well. Cool, 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 cool. So I'm just stealing the same kind of design pattern from elsewhere. And then I'm going to need to do this. So first, let me get this error toast utility function, tu, error fetching products. So what I'm gonna do, get product selector state. Okay. From dispatcher products. So I want to import get products as get products from my dispatchers products. And now here, what I'm going to do is whenever this page loads, I'm going to call that dispatch get products. And what this is going to do is it is going to hit my endpoint, hit my back end, and then with the response data, set those as products. And then I'll render these out right there. Okay. And if you get an error, then you just display the error and say error fetching products. And later on, what I'm going to be doing is adding in like filters on the back end and then query params on the front end. Because right now, I'll actually show you. Hopefully this is working. Okay. So you know what we did right here is we're just fetching all the products basically right here. Now on this page, to make that a little bit more optimized, even though we are pulling down two products, even though things are working right now, in other words, we're pulling down a list of both products, my product, which is this desk, and Amy's product, which is that bacon. On the front end, what we're doing is we're filtering them out, and where we are doing that is right here by saying filter products is just equal to the ones that you are selling basically. However, what I want to do is right here add it so I'm only fetching mine on the back end to make this process a little bit more efficient. But for right now, this should be working fine. And yeah, okay. So the next thing I actually want to do is build out this edit logic. Or should I build out the delete and deactivate logic now? So the edit logic is going to take a long time. The deletion and deactivation, not so much. So let's do... Actually, maybe we just do edit first. Yeah, let's tackle it. I'm ready. I'm ready to tackle this. Okay. So now let's dig into, well, first of all, anything else that's needed here for the time being? I don't think so. So let's dig into each product. And first, let's build out the edit logic. Okay. So in here, what I did is I put handle edit click. And then what we need to do, set active cell product ID. Huh, that's interesting. Then set active page. Fascinating, fascinating. Because I remembered when... Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do for this edit logic is, remember, we have in our manager this function right here, this reducer function where we could update any of these. And we also said that what we want to do is we want to set the active product in this manager. This is equal to null or, yeah, an actual product instance. So what we're going to do for the edit logic is set this active product to the product that we want to edit, and then navigate them to this page as well. So I'm going to be stealing this, and I'm going to say handle edit click. Let's just steal this. Handle edit click, and then let me get all of these. So dispatch, navigate, dispatch, navigate. And then update manager, where are you coming from? Wait a minute. Yeah. Update manager from store manager. Okay. So whenever you click edit, and that includes either by clicking on the thumbnail, you can edit the image by clicking on the name of the shop product details, or whatever this component's called, and that's going to put your on click handler on the name, in other words the product name. And of course the last place is if you just click the edit button or the edit action link on the right, then it's going to call this handle edit click. And what this handle edit click is going to do is it's going to set the active product to the product of the row you're being clicked on, and then navigate you to this page. Okay, so all that should work. So now what I can do is, even though we didn't build out the form for the edit page yet, I can check my Redux and see where is my manager. Okay, so if I click this image, it should set it and take us to this page, which is good. Also, if I click this name, same thing, and also edit, same thing. Okay, so what is going to happen now is these fields are going to auto-populate with whatever the active product was right in here. So let's go ahead and, yeah, I might as well do that now. So I already have our active product being populated. Let's close some of this out, and okay. So right now, the way we built out this form already is we pretty much always assume that it's, well, we basically didn't build any edit logic functionality yet. It's just always like going to create a new product by default. But now we want to say that if we have an active product, which we don't right now, but we can get there by clicking like edit right here, which is going to set that active product. If we have an active product, then go ahead and populate these fields. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and sell product details. Yeah, it's this one, right? Yeah. Okay. So here I'm using a hook to get the active sell product. And is that what I want to do in this case as well? I believe so. Actually, I don't even think. So I can use a hook to get it, or this is interesting too, because in TNBOS I was only storing the ID of it, and now I'm storing the entire sell product. Now, how do I want to do this? So let's do this. So it's in my manager. That'll clean that up a little bit, but is there anywhere else I'm using this? Just there. Alright, so let's keep this simple for now. Okay, so I'll say I'll get it from the manager. LM. All right, so from the manager, which is in selector state, what I can do is I can look for an active product. Make sure you want this here. All right. So this active product can be equal to a product or null. So now what I can basically do is this. Okay, so this is interesting too. So the initial values of activation status is a Boolean, and this is a string. Okay. So I can do this. So if there is an active product, then use the activation status for the activation status, otherwise use an empty string as the initial value. So basically, if you're editing, then use the value that you're editing, otherwise just use an empty string. And it's going to be the same pattern for all of these. Image, name, price, amount, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Description, name. Okay. Pretty sure there's an easier way to do this, but we'll figure it out later. Now, this is interesting as well. Blob. Talking about blob. So active product. Why is it blob? Okay, so price amount. Is this because alright, the argument of type string or number is not assignable to string. Number is not assignable. So it says values.price amount. This is interesting. So it has no problem here because the initial values is going to be a string. Okay. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Okay, so here we are taking the initial values, and whenever you're creating a new product, all of them are just an empty string. However, if you have values on an existing product that you're editing, then it's just kind of not working so nicely because these values are coming from these form values, which are the type of these initial values. And right here, it's saying that basically it's getting a little bit confused because this is a number, the price amount from the product, and then this is a string. So can we just put toString here? Yeah, and that should fix that. Okay. So these are strings, but they're just strings for the form, and these get converted later on. Okay, so this is good. So if I want to add a new one, you see that how active product is now null, and when active product in my manager is null, then all of these form fields are going to be empty. And then whenever I want to edit one, then active product is going to be a product, so it's going to populate with all of these right here. Now, the question is, where did my file chooser go? Because here, it works but whenever I'm editing, it seems to have disappeared. So let's figure that out. Okay. So the logic says if there is no values.image and image equals active product.image or empty string. That's interesting. So, oh, wait a minute. This is, okay, so let's actually open up another project that we were borrowing this from. And let's see. So render preview, close out of TMBOS for now. All right. So here we're saying that, all right, if you don't have any value for image, then handle the file selector. And then for render preview, this should be rendering. So image source preview is equal to the set field value function. Where's preview coming from? If preview is coming from state and set preview. Oh, okay. So first thing we need in this is preview state, which we already got. However, the piece we seem to be missing is this piece, where after we're setting the form values type, we have a use effect statement. And what this is doing, if we can import use effect, okay. Fix this initial values, really? Okay. Says wrap this in use memo. And can you do it for me? Or do I need to do it? All right, so initial values is just going to be, yeah, something like this. Something like this. However, instead of this, you get passed in this. Bada bing, bada boom. And then your dependencies are going to be this. And you need to pretty that up. All right. So let me just make sure my imports are good. All right. So here we're saying that the initial values are going to either be basically a bunch of empty strings or a bunch of product details. Now, if initial values.image does not exist, then basically don't do anything. It just means you're trying to create a new product, no need to do anything special. However, if there is an initial values image, then go ahead and set the preview to that image, basically. And this will give us our default logic for displaying that thumbnail. Okay, there we go. So now from the top, I'm going to my sell products. I'm going to add a product. There is no image in there. Great. Now, whenever I edit a product, I already get this default image, which is exactly what I want. Then I close out of that and I can select a new one if needed. And I'll just select Steve Jobs. Bacon should be good to go. All right, cool. So now what's going on here? Doesn't activate. Activation status is a prop on DOM element. Okay. So let's fix this little unrelated warning. And from there, I believe, where is it coming from here? Yeah, I believe so. So here we're using activation status, but it's not a valid DOM element because we're sticking it on a div right here. So what we're gonna need to do is just prepend it with a $sign. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, basically using styled components. Anytime you use pretty much like a custom property that you want to pass down to your styling portion of the styled components, and it's not like existing DOM property, then you just need to prepend it with a $sign. So hopefully if I refresh, should fix that. Always nice to keep your console nice and clear. But now getting back on track, let me just go ahead and not gonna need this anymore. Okay, so what we are gonna need to do now is we need to update our submit logic, because even though we have this logic working correctly, where if we're adding a new one, then there you go, or if you're editing it, then you know the form's pre-populated. Whenever you submit this data, you're either making a post request or a patch request, depending on if you're trying to create a product or edit a new one. So on that note, let's go ahead and figure out what we did here. Okay. So this is my cooking app, and what I said that if you have an active recipe already, in other words, you're in edit mode, then you just want to make an update request. Otherwise, if you don't have one, it means you're creating it for the first time, you just set this equal to create, and then let response data, or yeah. And then here I'm navigating to, okay, so I don't think I need any of this, because here what I'm doing is I'm storing the response data of either the updated response or the creation response, and then using that response data ID to navigate them to the recipes page. However, in this, I'm just navigating to their sell products. So in that case, what I can do is this. Actually, you can keep this pretty easy. Okay, so I'll say if you have an active product, then what you want to do, I'm going to update this in a bit, but if you have an active product, then you want to make an edit product request. Otherwise, make a create product request. So let me just go in here and say if you have active product. Oops, whoa, my finger in the wrong spot. Okay, so if you have an active product when you're on this edit page, then you're just going to go ahead and want to update that product. And also, why am I not expected 2 arguments for update? Oh, that's because I need the ID as well. So if you have an active product, then pass in the product ID and then the request data. So active product.id and then the request data. Otherwise, you are creating it. And another thing that I just want to check, yeah, I actually have this logic right here. If the initial values for image is different than that, tack it on. And also I can update my so a couple of different things here. So when you create a product, you want to say product created. Otherwise, you can see product updated. And then for this error, then what we're going to say is that if you had an active product, then you are updating, otherwise you're creating it. So if there's an error message when you're updating, it's going to say error updating product, otherwise error when you're creating, is error creating product. And then no matter what, it navigates you back. So this should be good. Okay, so from the top, I'm gonna add a new product, and what is this gonna be? Let's, what is this? A dresser. Dresser, wood, dresser, 12, and I'll just have one of them, and I will not activate this dresser. So now, let me just check my network request, submit. Okay, so the ordering is still a little bit weird, but there you go. And now, yeah, we didn't build this activation logic. However, if I go and edit this, I should be able to say, change the name to Big Dresser, Wind Dresser, and let me update this to TNB. Okay. Big Dresser, there you go. Let me actually change the image of this to bacon. Actually, I don't want to do bacon because Amy's selling bacon. In fact, let me just change it to Steve Jobs. So this is, I'll say, Steve Jobs poster. Updated description. And for the price, I'll do 500 now, and the quantity 5. Activate, submit. Actually, that was interesting. Was it that? Okay, let me put this in draft mode. I think I noticed something. Okay, this is in draft mode, and whenever I edit it, it automatically populates the actives, which is not what we wanted because we were in draft mode. So why is that happening? Okay. So the activation status is now equal to draft. However, in the checkbox, what we are saying type checkbox label. How does it know if it's checked or not? Name. Yeah, how can we see if you are checked or not? Well, first of all, let me see if I deactivate this. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. So I'm clicking this now, and no matter what, it's just always checked. Fascinating. Now, whenever I sell, I can check or uncheck it. So what the heck is going on with this? Okay. So when I'm editing it, that's another interesting thing I noticed. You see how this is deactivated, but then I click this, nothing changes with the checkbox, and then we get that funky behavior. Alright, so this is with a recipe. Let's pop open TNBOS since that's what we got the checkbox at. Label, name, the value, UFuel, go to. Alright, it's only one thing to do, and that's to ask our friend ChatGPT what's up. Name, label. Okay. So the issue is, how can we phrase this? When editing a product, when editing a product, the activate product checkbox is always checked. And why? I have a bug when editing product, the activation checkbox is always checked. And now let's give it the info that you need. So first, you're probably going to need the product type. And actually, let's do this. So the enum product, you need the activation status. And then, of course, you are going to need my components. And then what else are you going to need? The checkbox component, for sure. And what's this doing? Nothing important. All right, ChatGPT, help me out. Issues that you're not setting the initial value to Boolean value. Oh, okay. So, okay. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I see what's going on here. So the form value of the checkbox is just a true or false. So, whenever you add a new one, this is false, this is true, false and true. Now our backend, it takes active and draft. So what we're doing right here is right before we submit this request to the backend, which is happening right here or right here, what we're doing is converting that Boolean value to either active or draft. Now the problem is, whenever we are getting all of these default values from the active product to populate our form, what we're doing is we're just plucking off the activation status without converting it to a Boolean. And since active or draft are both just strings and they're both truthy, then it's just always keeping that checked. But now we need to change that. And how did ChatGPT say we could? Okay. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. The checkbox work, true, but in your activation status, active draft, initial, convert back. All right. So for the initial values, yeah, this is nice. So I'll say activation status. If your active product is equal to, okay. So this is either going to be true or false. True if you have an active product status and its status is equal to, or excuse me, if you have an active product and its status is equal to active. And now let me just make sure. And then when we submit it, handle submit, I already do that as well. Yeah. So now I think we should be good. So editing this, first of all, that is right. Okay. So I edit this that's already active and it says active. I edit this that's not active and it's not active. Now I can change this, submit it, and that should make a patch request with activation status active. Let me deactivate that, submit, make a patch request with activation status equal draft. Beautiful. Okay, and everything else does work, right? Yes, this amount, that amount, that amount, this amount, yada, 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 yada. Bacon, submit, Steve Jobs poster, great. Activate that. All right, looking good. So now our edit logic is actually taken care of. Yeah, I think that's all we needed to write. Oh, wait a minute. So these are hard-coded as well, but we will change that eventually. Yeah. Change those from hard-coded values. Cool. Cool. Okay. So now pages, and actually let me go ahead and lint this real quick, just a little bit. npm run lint, just to make sure I'm at a good checkpoint. All right, so for shop pages, let's build out the rest of this functionality. Okay. So for sell products, what else do we need to do? Well, so glad you asked. So for each of these individual product rows, we got this logic working where you can click the image, go to the edit page, click the name, or click edit. So let's just finish the rest of this functionality, starting with delete. So right now when you click delete, nothing happens, and what I want to do is actually delete the product. So I'm gonna do edit click, don't need this. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, just trying to see if I could steal it from anywhere. Okay. So I'm gonna be calling this dispatchers delete product and pass in the ID. So I want to import products. All right. So handle delete click. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be calling this whenever I click the delete button, of course. And all this is going to do is it's going to dispatch this delete product dispatcher function, and this is going to take the ID of the product we were trying to delete. So product ID, and then I need to await this. And wow. Okay. So now whenever I click delete, it should dispatch this delete product by deleting this product with the given product ID. So let's try that. Now it should also delete it from the back end. So let me go to my products. I have 3 products back here. These 2, I don't want to sell this Steve Jobs poster anymore. So I'm going to delete that. It deletes it from my back end, and it deletes it from my front end. Looking good. Now another thing I actually want to do is just display a toast right there, because whenever I deleted that, it was kind of weird not having any toast as a feedback. So display toast. TQRSTU, delete it from here. Display toast, toast type comes from enums. And for this toast, I will say after you delete it and the delete was successful, say successfully deleted product, or that product or something. How do I have it in here? So order products, product. Oh, product deleted. There we go. That's easier. And I should probably put a, I'm wondering if, probably want to try catch for this. Yeah. Yeah, just so the, app doesn't crash. It's never a good thing if that happens. So try, and then I'll say, where's my error logic that I can just steal? So create product. Alright, so try to delete the product, and if you can't, then display the error in the console, and then error toast that says error deleting product. Okay. So handle delete click should now display toast. But let's figure out. Okay, so delete this. Product deleted, looking good. Now let me just go ahead and add one more so I can test something else. So let's sell that desk again. All right, so wooden desk, big wooden desk. I'm selling it for TNB, selling it for 500, a great value, phenomenal, amazing value. Let's activate it, submit it, and looking good. So edit, delete works, now deactivate is what I want to do now. So let's handle activation link click. Okay. This is interesting. New activation status equals draft. Yeah, I think I just don't even want to mess with any of this. So what I'm going to do is this. Actually, what did I name that? Handle activation action link click. Handle render activation link, and so yeah. So const handle activation action link click, and also going to need to make this async as well since we're going to be dispatching some stuff. Handle activation action link click. Good enough. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is update. All right. So let's figure out what the new status is going to be. Okay. And also going to be stealing some stuff from here, namely this update product logic. So update product from dispatcher's product. And then I'm also going to be saying all right, so we want to update this product, and what data do we want to update it with? Well, the data that we're going to be updating it with is we are going to say we're only going to be updating one field, which is this activation status. And the value of this is going to be depending on this. So, oh, I already got it. So let's just do this. Activation status dot active. Form data. Oh, I need to convert this to form data. Okay. Yes. So this data requires form data. So to do that, well, we can go ahead and make some new form data. All right, so activation status. Actually, this works pretty well. Activation status, request data. Okay. So what I can do is just say values activation status. All right. So for the activation status, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the product's activation status and seeing if it's equal to active. If so, then when they click it, it's going to be in draft mode. Otherwise, it's going to be active. And then this, that's probably why I did it. Okay, since I hate how that's formatted. Okay, so this is actually works as well. All right, so let the new activation status, let's just assume it's draft by default. And then here I'm saying that if the current activation status is in draft, then the new one should be active. So if the current activation status is in draft, then let new that's kind of ugly too. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So conservation activation status. All right. Should we just do this the ugly way? All right. So handle activation link click. Whenever you do, you're going to make a new form data, and then you're going to figure out what the activation status should be. And that is, if the current activation status is active, then you want to update it to draft. However, if it's in draft, then you want to change it to active. And let me just try one more time to make this readable. Oh yeah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now handle activation link click and render activation link on click. This is where we're going to stick it. And now everything should be good to go. May want to put a try catch around this too, but let's just test things first. Okay, it's active. You see deactivate. Then you click this to activate it, or excuse me, to put it in draft mode. Now if it's draft mode, you can activate it. It's active, deactivate, draft mode activate, yada yada yada. There you go. So now I want to do two more things, and this is just some housekeeping stuff. The first thing that I want to do is I want to surround this in a try catch, just so we don't have any right here. If this fails, then we're just gonna kind of crash our app, and try to avoid that. So try to do this. Now if there's an error, we'll say error updating activation status. Otherwise, if it's successful, I'll say product, or I'll say activation status updated. Okay, so that should take care of that. Activation status updated, Activation status updated. There we go. All right. Wait, actually, is this done now? Let me try it with a couple more products. All right, so let me get this wooden spoon that I've been meaning to sell. So copy image address. Okay. Let me actually delete these. I'm gonna treat it like an actually coming from the top. My goal, as we said, was to sell my wooden spoon. I'm gonna go to my products, I'm gonna add, I'm gonna say wooden spoon. And the description, beautiful wooden spoon. For this, let me just go ahead and save this image as spoon. And then I can, from my downloads, select this spoon. Now I'm gonna sneeze. Boy. All right, so I want TNB for this spoon, and I'm gonna sell it for 2,600. I only have one of them. This is handcrafted, and I'm not gonna activate it just yet because I first want to go here, product created, edit it. Don't need to, and I'll just click activate from here. Activating status activated. Beautiful. All right, I think actually I think that's all there is. Let me just add one more just to make sure our list behavior is still working. Mushroom book. So save image as mushroom book. And yeah, I just want to add one more so we have a list of products just to make sure my grid styling remains intact. And I'll say mushroom book, say about mushrooms. And where are you at, mushroom book? There you are. Now for this, I'm gonna sell it for 2,200 TNB. I only have one of these as well, and I'll activate that right away. Okay. So a couple things I'm noticing here. First, on this page, then I would have liked to have my most recently edited products appearing at the top. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So each product has a modified date on it, and I'm just going to order by that. And this is on my products page. So I'm going to need that ordering right here. Yeah. And let me see if I get it. Okay, so order by from Lodash. And what I can do is this create a date. All right. So my filtered products, I can order them right here. So anyways, just to recap, I'm first running this memoize function right here to determine all the products that I'm selling. So any products that are in my store, if they're from another seller, I'm filtering it out and just getting this filtered products. Now these are used to determine if I should display the empty state or a list of products right here. And what I could do is I could order them at this time, since it's the same list of products that's eventually going to be rendered. However, I'm wondering if it's more efficient to just save this as is, and then at the time that I'm rendering them, then order them. Yeah, that's going to be more efficient. So what I can do is this. Where's that order by I was stealing? Oh, somewhere else. Okay. Oh, here we go. So if it does come time to render these products, then what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to say ordered products And this is equal to an ordered list of filtered products, and instead of created date, that is going to be modified date, right? Modified date descending highest to lowest. Okay. And then these products are just going to be ordered products. All right. So when you have products to render, then just go ahead and order your filtered products, which is basically means the products you're selling. Yeah. And then sort them by modified date, descending, highest to lowest. Okay, cool. And now let me edit this spoon. I'll say nice 1 spoon, and hopefully this should be first in the list. Yep. Ooh, you know one weird thing about this though, is that look what happens when this. Huh, that's a little bit goofy. Okay. So whenever a product is added or edited, like this, then correctly so, I want it to appear at the top of my list, because that's just intuitive to me. However, the logic for this is just sort this by modified date, and it's kind of unintuitive. However, whenever I'm just updating the activation status, since it does of course update the modified date, but then my products are kind of hopping around here. So that's another question that I'll throw out to the community. How do I want to account for this finicky logic? Yeah, I'm not sure I have a good answer for that right now, but hopefully someone else does. Let me add one of these. Nah, I'm good right now. All right, so on this note, can we just check this off? Seller products page. I mean, there's nothing else to do to it, right? Sell products page, we got add, thumbnails working, prices working, badges working, all these buttons working. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Okay. So the cool thing is we can now manage our products from the front end. However, as a buyer, we still don't have any catalog. So what I'm going to do is kind of just call it a checkpoint, probably a video right now. So let me go ahead and npm run lint. And then I could push up these changes and then kind of get started on the next part of the video. All right. So I'll go ahead and review these changes real quick and then push it up. And then in the next video, what we'll do is we will get started on this buyer's catalog page, or the catalog page, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I mean, progress looking good so far, and I'll see you next video. See you soon.